I am going live with this video. I've just pressed the go live button. So I actually have no idea if you have heard anything that I've said before this point. So, but I hope you have, due to the delay. And I'm going to go ahead and open up another window just so that I can have a monitor and find out if people can see what I am doing. Click to expand, enlarge. There you go. All right, and so that I can see, I've got 3 people on the stream. Hello, hello. Thanks for joining. As you can see on the table here, I've got my game that I co-designed. It's called The Cleaner. I don't even have a game box for it. I'm going to go ahead and explain what you're seeing on the table right now, the components of the game and the game setup. And thank you to all the 5 people who are on the stream right now. Good morning. It's 10:18 a.m. coming to you from Northern California. And if you want to just drop a comment and say hello and hang out for as long as you want to hang out, I'll just be playing a game that I co-designed over here. Fred. Hi, Fred. Fred Young has joined. Nice to see you there. How are you doing this fine morning? And we're just going to be doing a live playthrough of The Cleaner. No biggie, no big whoop. So, The Cleaner, as you've probably heard at this point, or if you haven't, The Cleaner is a game where a murder has been committed. And they call you in. So you are the cleaner, and of course this is a solitaire game currently. And your job is to clean up the crime scene. So, if I can just read from the rules that I actually wrote. You are the cleaner. Your job is to clean up evidence from crime scenes in which murders have been committed. You must grab your equipment cards, make your way to the crime scene, use your equipment efficiently, and clean up as much evidence as possible before time runs out and the police arrive. So the more evidence that you leave behind, the lower your score. Can you sanitize increasingly difficult crime scenes to become the greatest cleaner in the city? So that's the basic setup. If you've ever watched the movie Pulp Fiction, if you remember the character of Harvey Keitel, the wolf, who was called in to clean up a particularly gruesome crime scene, then you pretty much have your head wrapped around what the original inspiration was for this game. I just thought it would be really cool to be able to play that type of character, right? But I didn't want you to be super competent from the get-go. I wanted you to be like a novice cleaner, right? So you're not actually going to be able to clean up everything, and that you're going to leave behind some evidence after 60 minutes have elapsed. So that's what this timer here is, 60-minute timer. Which doesn't really fit in the frame that I've made here. I just realized. And so when the police arrive, that's when you gotta make sure you get out of there before they get there, and then there's going to be a chance if the police are going to find some of the evidence you left behind. Which I kind of like that element because it gives a little bit of suspense to the proceedings. So let me show you what we've got here. So this is your player board. And it basically shows you your timer. So it counts down from 60 all the way down to 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So if you run out of time, if you're still on the scene when you run out of time, that means that the police arrived while you were still there. You did not make it out, and so they've caught you. So you actually have to decide. One of the push your luck elements of this game is you have to decide when you're going to leave. Jonathan Williams has just joined. The Hexy Beast has just joined. Thanks for dropping by. So hey, he says, hey Martin, hey Jonathan, hey Johnny, and so the other things, elements of the player board are there's a space here for the cards that the tool cards or the equipment cards that you can have equipped in your left hand and equipped in your right hand. So it's kind of a very micro game. It's really on a hand level. It's not a very high level strategic game at all. And then there's spaces for the effort cubes that you're going to generate by using the equipment that you've got equipped in your hands over here. And then there's even a little diagram here that teaches you, hey, because the cubes, the color of the cubes represents different levels of effort. So yellow is the lowest level of effort you generate. Then in increasing order, orange, red, and these are basically the 3 cubes that you would use in level 1, stage 1, which is what we're playing today. And then if you actually survive and make it to stage 2, then you get even more high-level cubes. You get the blues, the greens, and the blacks. But we're not going to be looking at those today. So there's a little bit of an economy here, where if you generate 2 yellows, you could trade those in for 1 orange. If you generate 2 orange, you could trade those in for 1 red, etc., etc. So it's kind of a linear exchange or trade economy, which is hopefully the idea was it would add another layer of interest and complexity in the game. So that's the player board right there. Beautifully designed, by the way, by Doc Janine Viglietti to look like an old-style Underwood typewriter from the 1930s or 40s, which I love, and which I actually had when I was a young boy. Inherited from my father. Okay, so that's the player board, and then the game board here is designed to look like a top-down view or a floor plan of the crime scene. And we have these tiles that look like this. So this is the murder weapon tile, and they each have a number on the back that identifies them. Hey, which stage does this tile belong to? So this number 1 here means this is a stage 1 tile for this crime scene here. And so every tile is some evidence that has been left behind at the crime scene. So this is, of course, a major piece of evidence, the murder weapon. And here's another major piece of evidence. This tile represents the victim, the actual dead body that your job is to clean here. So, and you'll notice that every tile has a different number of cubes and different colors of cubes. So these represent the amount and color of cubes that you would need to generate and place on the tile to be able to satisfy the requirements to remove that tile from the crime scene. Thematically, it means that you were successfully able to clean all the evidence in that area of the crime scene, and so by removing that from the game board, that means that you've successfully cleaned that. The police, when they arrive, will not find any evidence in that area of the room. So the more tiles you have laid out in game setup, the more tiles you decide to lay out on the game board here, that means the higher the difficulty of the game, because obviously you're going to have to generate more cubes in less time to be able to remove as much as possible. So in the rules that we wrote, we said if you want to start with 6 tiles, that's easy difficulty. But in terms of game scoring, you actually, if you started on easy, if you played on easy, you actually automatically subtract 10 points from your final score because you were playing on easy. If you put 8 tiles, as I have here now, then that's normal difficulty. And I believe in the final game scoring, that means, if I go to the last page here, subtract 10 if you played on easy difficulty, add 10 if you played on hard difficulty, and add 20 if you played on insane difficulty. Insane difficulty is all the tiles. Hi Larry. Larry Wolf just joined us. We're about to start a quick playthrough of the cleaner. So actually if you play on normal difficulty like I'm playing now, then you don't subtract points from your final score, but you also don't add points to your final score. It's just whatever is your final score. And then I've included a little bit of a table at the back here to kind of rate your performance as a cleaner. So if you get a score of 30 and above, that means you're an immortal cleaner. No one will ever catch you. Your record is spotless. If you scored 20 to 29, then you are an elite cleaner. The flavor text is you clean up nicely in this line of work. If you scored between 10 to 19 points, you're a veteran cleaner. You've gotten your nose dirty once or twice. I love puns, in case you haven't noticed. if you get a positive score of 1 to 9, your sanitation worker, other cleaners would wipe the floor with you. And finally, if you get 0 or lower, which is totally possible in this game, to have a negative score at the end, then you are a janitor. You couldn't clean your way out of a paper bag, is kind of the setup here. Carl Hutchings is joined. Jonathan Williams, if only I could be an immortal cleaner. It's not easy, Jonathan. That's one thing I can say about this game. It's not easy to get a very high score. Although I did have, when I was in playtesting, somebody claimed to have broken the game wide open and could reliably get like 40, 50 points every time he played. But I'm not sure. He didn't show me any evidence. He didn't like show his work. So I'm not sure if he was playing correctly. Anywho, all right, so essentially we've got the game set up here. You take a random number of tiles. Aish Arun is here. Hello, intrigued by the theme. Thanks for joining me. I hope to play a little bit of and show you guys how this game goes. Thanks for stopping by. So we have, as I said, 8 tiles, 8 evidence tiles on the. Hi, Mike. Mike Hyman has joined. John says, prove it. So we have 8 evidence tiles laid out here in stage 1. So we've got the victim and the murder weapon. And I just have to say that the 2 most important pieces of evidence that you must clean, if you don't clean anything else, you got to clean that victim and you got to clean that murder weapon. Hello, Mike. The vaunted game designer of many classic print and play games, Mike Hyman, is here. Guildhaven City, which is kind of like a superhero version of Gloomhaven, is a Mike Hyman creation, and he's got some classic roll-and writes as well. The USS Laffy game from last year is also a Mike Hyman design. Andy greets Martin. I've printed this game out, but never got around to playing it. Well, maybe this live playthrough will give you a little bit, help you wrap your head around the gameplay and get you a little bit kickstarted to get your motor running to try to play it. Okay, so as I was saying, I'm getting distracted by interacting with all the folks on the stream here. If you don't clean anything else, you have to clean the victim and the murder weapon before the police arrive, because obviously the police in my game, there's kind of like a chance that they won't find some trace evidence, but I'm pretty sure when they show up and there's a huge hunkin' dead body and a huge obvious murder weapon at the crime scene, they're going to notice that, and they're going to use the evidence to find who did it, or at least whose DNA was on the scene, and find you out. By the way, the time scale of this game is the 1930s, so actually we're not talking about DNA yet, which is one of like the conceits of this game. It didn't start out as a 1930s kind of noir adventure, but it kind of evolved into that when Doc Janine Viglietti and I started collaborating on it, because we both love that kind of pulp noir, kind of time frame, the Humphrey Bogart, like noir movies, etc. Derek has joined. Hi, Derek. Nice to see you here on the stream. So that's kind of the conceit here. Now, everything else, this hair and fiber, these blood stains, the broken wine glass, the broken plate, the blood stains, the bloody prints, you could potentially leave those at the crime scene, but the more tiles you leave behind, the more evidence you leave behind, the more chance there is that the police are going to find that at the end of the game, and then you will lose the game. So you obviously don't want that. You want to exert every effort to clean everything as quickly as possible. These cubes over here on this side, these are the effort cubes. So, and here are the equipment equipment cards. So you're going to show up to the crime scene with your equipment to be able to clean. So you've got a scrub brush, and it's all like 1930s period graphics here. These are some promo cards that we made up, that Janine made up actually. So a cup of Janine Viglietti, some cleaning cloths. There you go, some more cleaning cloths. So the cloths are the lowest level. They only generate yellow effort cubes. Here's a cup of Martin. some more cleaning cloths, phone a family. So there was a, anyway, the long story short, this is another promo card. You can phone a family for some help, and they can give you some orange cubes. The story is too long for me to get into. Some disinfectant, a water bucket, a Hoover vacuum from the I don't even know if this was a 1930s vacuum. Maybe it was. Some borax, some old school cleaning supplies, another water bucket, cloths, some rubber gloves. And the rubber gloves gives you some extra time. So those are the equipment cards. And, you know, again, I just want to take a moment to say I just kind of love the idea that these are, you can actually have these in a card, these types of cards in a game. Thematically, you've shown up with cleaning equipment. Like, I get a kick out of that because I pretty much don't think that any other game, I've not seen any other card game that has those types of equipment in the game. Yeah, so you've got your equipment cards. We'll give them a good shuffle here at the start of the game, and then we will start playing. So let's just see if we did a proper setup here. All right, so decide if you're playing crime scene 1 or 2. So we're playing crime scene 1. Place the victim and murder weapon tiles for your selected crime scene on the corresponding crime scene game board in the center of the play area. We've got the victim and the murder weapon over here. Separate the evidence tiles into 2 piles, crime scene 1 and 2, and shuffle. Yeah, so and then draw a number of evidence tiles based on selected game difficulty, which we drew 8, which is normal difficulty. Place the equipment cards in the play area. We've got them. If you're playing crime scene 1, take the basic equipment cards only. So you'll notice the cards have a little indicator here if it's for the basic game or the advanced game. So I've taken all the basic game cards. The advanced game cards are in the box, as are the crime scene 2 tiles. Place the effort cubes in a supply beside the play area. I've got them here. And then place the player board face up in your play area. So we've got the player board over here at the bottom of the screen. Within easy reach, place the time tracker cube on the starting time. Default is 60 minutes. So this is actually not a cube. It's a little bit of a token there. We could easily do a cube as well. And I mean, maybe a cube will actually be more obvious. Let me see if I have a cube handy. There's no cubes in here. Let's see. How about a little meeple? We'll use a meeple as our time tracker here. All right. So that meeple represents the police, and if that ever gets down to 1 or below 1, then the police are going to show up. All right. And place 1 6-sided die within easy reach in your play area. Place the others in a supply beside the play area. You are now ready to play the cleaner. All right. Got my dice. Let me go ahead and grab my handy dandy sharpshooter's die roller over here. Which I don't know if I have enough space for you guys to be able to see. All right. And you are now ready to play the cleaner. Okay, good. So let's see. So playing the cleaner, part 1, clean the crime scene. Each turn at the crime scene consists of 2 phases, an action phase and a refresh phase. And Janine actually made a handy-dandy reference card that summarizes all the different actions you could take in the action phase. You can place an equipment card. You can activate an equipment card. You can combine or split evidence. Combine or split effort. You could replace equipment, or you could perform a card action. So that's the menu of possible actions you can do when you're in the action phase. And so we will use this as a guide. Now you can do 4 of these actions each turn. So that's what we're going to be doing. Okay, so right now we've shown up at the crime scene, and there's evidence and bloody stuff and the victim and murder weapon all over the place. And so we have to get ourselves situated. And the first thing we have to do is we have to get our equipment in our hands. So the way that works is Place an equipment card. Draw the top 2 cards from the equipment deck. Choose one, discard the other. Place the chosen equipment in an open hand slot on your player board. So, I'm going to take the top 2 cards of the player deck, and I'm going to look at them. Woo! And I'm going to choose. So both these cards turn out to be actually really useful for me, right? Because we've got the Cup of Martin, which generates red cubes, and the Water Bucket, which generates orange cubes. So both of these cards are actually useful for me, because as you'll notice, the Victim and the Murder Weapon both require red and orange cubes to be able to remove, to clean. So I am going to look at Cup of Martin. I'm going to equip Cup of Martin over here in my left hand, and therefore I'm going to discard the other one. And that's my first action. And I've got a little bit of handy-dandy gun token here that I've taken from Sons of Anarchy, and that was my first action. So I'm now going to move it to action number 2. So we have a little action tracker here printed on the game board, which is nice. So now action number 2. I'm going to make me a Cup of Martin right now. BRB. Man, you are funny. I have to get up and open the door because I've got dogs whining to get into my office once again. Bane of my existence. Come on, get in. And now we're going to probably have dogs roughhousing on the floor. Okay. Bruce, hopefully you don't play it wrong. That would be embarrassing. I've long since stopped being embarrassed by playing games wrong, Bruce. Even mine, even my own. Okay, so the first action is we equip a card, and then the next action, let's equip another card. So now we have to choose. We've a choice between 2 cloths. So we're just going to choose one of these and place them here in our. I'm going to move this a little bit over here so you can see it a little bit. Okay. Discard the other one. All right. Now let's try to activate some equipment. Activate an equipment card already equipped in a hand slot on the player board from a previous action or turn. Roll the effort d6, gain effort cubes if any, and adjust remaining time as indicated on the equipment card. Discard equipment card immediately after activation. Okay, so now we're going to roll a d6, and we're going to compare the result to what's printed on the card, and then we're going to resolve that accordingly. So must love dogs, Mike Hyman. Absolutely. I mean, Fletcher and Lily and Monty are the light of my life. We're going to roll it. And got dogs barking at other dogs in the backyard. It's all bananas. And then we are going to choose which of these cards to activate. So since the red cubes are are the ones that are more important to me right now, because I want to clean the Victim and the Murder Weapon, I'm going to roll the die, and then we're hoping to roll high. Higher is better in this game. Whew! We rolled a 6, if you can see that. So what that does is we're going to take a look at our card here, and by rolling a 6, we generate 2 red effort cubes. So that is awesome. That's very, very good. So we'll take those 2 red effort cubes and we'll place them on our player board. So that was our second action. Now our third action, so I'm going to move it to the action marker to the third here, is we could clean evidence. We could take effort cubes from any space on the player board, place effort on matching spaces on a single evidence tile. You may not distribute effort cubes among multiple evidence tiles in a single action. Now, we could store effort cubes on the player board for use in a later turn. However, storing cubes will cost you time, as explained in the refresh phase. So, if you want to store your cubes, not use them immediately, you can do that. But there is a time cost to doing that. And so, it's generally not recommended. But so that's kind of like the trade-off. If you want to have more cubes to be able to, like if you needed to accumulate more cubes, to be able to do a fusing of cubes to get higher level cubes, etc., etc. I don't see a need to do that right this second. So I'm going to go ahead and just clean evidence now. So I'm going to take, my third action is I'm going to take the effort cubes that I generated in my second action, and I'm going to place them on the victim. The victim is one of the most important things to clean from this game. And then I have one more action. So we're on action number 4 in turn 1. All these actions are optional, by the way. You don't have to do it if you don't want to. Oh, by the way, once you've used an equipment card, you have to discard it. So I'm going to go ahead and discard that equipment. And rather than using the cloths or trying to roll a die to activate the cloths right now, I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to equip another equipment card. So I'm going to take the place equipment card action. So I'm going to go back to my player card deck, take the top 2, and then, okay, so I've got a choice between another cloths or the phone a family, which is going to allow us to generate orange cubes. So these cubes are higher effort than these ones, so I'm going to place these here in my left hand and then discard the other one. And that's pretty much it. That's all 4 actions that we've just taken one turn. And now we move into the refresh phase. So the refresh phase is, and by the way, since we did so well, we used our equipment in the last turn so well when we generated those red effort cubes, we didn't lose any time, which is great news. Because yeah, so we're sitting pretty right now, which doesn't usually happen in this game. Okay, so let's go to the refresh phase. Once you have taken 4 actions, perform the following checks to refresh for the next turn. Check that you have discarded any activated equipment cards. We went ahead and did that. Remove from the crime scene any evidence tiles whose effort cubes you have completely covered and return them to the supply. We haven't completely covered any tiles yet. If any effort cubes will be stored on the player board for a later turn, you must lower remaining time by 1 for each effort cube multiplied by the cube's effort level. So if it's a yellow cube, you have to go lower your time 1 times 1, so 1. If it's an orange cube, 1 times 2, 2. If it's a red cube, 1 times 3, 3 minutes, and so on and so forth. And then continue playing the action and refresh phases until you've either removed all the evidence tiles, decided to leave a crime scene, or you run out of time. Okay, so we're going to just chug along now because you already know the basic play sequence. And we're going to try to, remove as much evidence as possible. So now we're in turn number 2, action phase. We've got some cards that we want to activate. So I'm going to choose to activate my phone a family. There's a card action here that says you may combine the family and bucket of water to create 1 cube of any color. But we don't have a bucket of water, so our first action is we're going to go ahead and try to activate this card. We rolled a 4. 4 is 1 orange cube. Great, so we've got that. Resolution has really dropped. Looks like 240p. Uh-oh. Things are looking okay on my end, Andy, so it might be your local bandwidth, your local throughput. All right, so we've got 1 cube. And we discard that card. Now, we could just roll to activate the second card. If we roll a 1, 2, or 3, we're going to lose time. And if we roll a 4, 5, or 6, we actually just get cubes. So let's go ahead and just roll. Hopefully we get a 4, a 5, or a 6. We get a 3. 3 is minus 1 time. Ouch. And we discard that card anyway. That was my second action. So now my third action, I notice I don't have any equipment cards equipped. So we're just going to go ahead and use our third action to equip a card. Ooh, rubber gloves, +5 To use this equipment, permanently remove the top 3 cards from the draw deck and the rubber gloves. This is kind of a last-ditch effort, so we're not going to use that right now. We're going to discard that, and therefore choose these cloths to equip. And then for our 4th action, we'll equip another card. Disinfectant and Borax. I'm going to choose the Disinfectant. Alright, so that's what we've got. And that was all 4 actions. So now, oops, refresh. There's nothing to, we've discarded the cards that we used. And so we're back to action phase. And we're going to roll the dice on this red over here. Again, hoping for a 4, 5, or 6. We got a 3. So not good, because on this card it says if you roll a 3, it's actually -3 time. Ouch. 1, 2, 3. So thematically what that means is you tried to use the equipment, it didn't go right for whatever reason, and so you just lost time and you didn't do anything useful on the crime scene, so that sucks. So that was my first action. For my second action, I think what I'll do is I will choose another card to equip. See, we've got a Cup of JV or a Hoover. The Cup of JV is place all unused cubes into a cup, draw 2 and place them on your player mat. Place all unused cubes into a cup, draw 2 and place them on your player mat. Oh, very interesting. Okay, whereas the Hoover is going to give me red cubes, or you may combine the Hoover and deodorizer to create 2 cubes of any color. Which am I going to do here? I am going to use the Cup of JV for my second action. That's a powerful card. I've never played with that card before. For my third action, I'm going to place all the unused cubes into a cup. I'm going to choose 2. Oh yes, that worked out for me, absolutely, because I got a red and an orange, which means I can now place the red. I've completed the reds on the victim, and I've started on the orange. And so that was a very useful card for me, the Cup of JV, the promo card. I've actually never played with this card before. Cool. So that was kind of a cool action for my third action. And then for my fourth action, I think what I'll do is I'll just equip another card. Let's see, I've got a water bucket and cloths, so I think I'll take the water bucket. Alright. Like most card games, once there are no longer any cards in the draw pile, then just shuffle the discard pile, make it face down to make a new draw pile. Cool. Most people moan when I call it that instead of a vacuum cleaner. It was our game. You know, we could do whatever we wanted. Okay, so let's keep on going here. We need orange cubes to be able to clean out the victim tile. So that means we're going to try to, as our first action of this turn, try to activate the water bucket. So that's what we're going to do. Woo! We got a 5. I don't want to speak too soon, but my die rolls have been really working for me right now. So a 5 means, oh shoot, I didn't even see that I had I don't even remember where that orange effort cube came from. Keeping that on my player board means that I will lose 2 time. Yeah, I'm just going to have to lose 2 time. I forgot about it. So one of the things about this game is you have to keep track of your board state. Absolutely. And so I will lose 2 time because I had an orange cube on my board and I forgot to place it in my previous turn. So I'm paying the price of that. So, but let's resolve this 5 on this water bucket. That means we get 2 orange cubes. And guess what? We now have, we'll discard this water bucket. We now have enough orange cubes here. So these 2 effort cubes here from this side that were generated by Kappa JV, I will place them on the victim. And so now we have enough, we've cleaned up enough evidence by placing enough effort cubes on the victim tile to be able to clean the victim's, remove the victim from the crime scene. So we'll just take all the cubes that we expended, and now we can very satisfyingly take away that victim tile from the crime scene. So we're making progress. We started with 8 tiles and now we have 7. So that was my action, right? That actually doesn't burn in action to, wait, hang on. Let me just, clean evidence. Take effort cubes from any space on your player board, place on matching spaces. You may not redistribute effort cubes among multiple evidence tiles in a single action. Okay, so that was an action, which means we're now in action 2 was clean evidence. Action 3, I'm going to take this 1 orange cube that was here that cost me time earlier and place it on the murder weapon and start trying to clean the murder weapon as well. And then action 4 is I'm going to equip another piece of equipment. So there's 1 card left, and we always have to have 2 cards to be able to choose from. So I'm going to go ahead and shuffle the discard pile. All right, and here we go. What are we choosing from? Oh, it's Cup of JV came back, or the scrub brush. You may combine the scrub brush and bucket of water to create 1 cube of any color. I don't have a bucket of water, so I can't do that special action. The Cup of JV worked out for me earlier, so I'm going to go ahead and equip that as my that was my 4th action. Okay, so keeping track of which action you are on and keeping track of your board state is very, very important in this game. So where are we right now? It's like, I don't know, turn 5 or 6. We have 54 minutes left before the police show up. We've got cloths in one hand. We've got a Cup of JV in the other hand. We've cleaned up the body, the victim, from the crime scene, and we're working on the murder weapon. So let's go ahead and do that. For turn number 1, for action number 1, Dorian joined. Hi, Dorian. Thanks for joining us. We're going to use the Cup of JV card again. Place all unused cubes into a cup, draw 2, and place them on your player mat. Such a great card. Makes things a lot easier. So we've got all of our cubes into this cup here. I'm not going to look. I'm not looking, and I'm choosing 2, and I'm going to open my eyes. Woo! 2 red cubes, the most powerful cubes. Is awesome. So we're going to place those on the murder weapon. So this card that I've never played with, this is the first time I'm playing with this promo card, is super powerful. Maybe overpowered. But that was action number 1. Action number 2 is let's choose some more equipment. Yellows and reds. But you may combine 2 cloths to create 1 cube of any color. So I think I'll choose this now as my second action. Now for my 3rd action, I'm actually going to do a card action. So instead of rolling the dice, you see here it says you may combine 2 cloths to create 1 cube of any color. So I will combine these 2 cloths to create 1 cube of any color, and I can use a red or an orange. So I think I'll take another red, and normally that goes here. Okay, so that's my 3rd action, is I generated a red cube, and Now I'm going to discard these 2 cards. And then for my 4th action, I'm going to place that red cube where I want it to go, which is on the murder weapon. So now I just need 1 more orange cube, and then I clean the murder weapon from the crime scene as well. So that's great. So now it is action number 1 again. I'm going to choose some equipment, and I'm looking for orange cubes, which I don't have right now, which kind of sucks. But we can always use red cubes. So we're gonna equip this Hoover and discard the other one, and then we're gonna get some more equipment in hand. There are our orange cubes. Oh, look at this. You may combine the borax and bucket of water to create 1 cube of any color. But this kind of sucks. I'm now holding borax and water bucket both in my hand, but I can only choose 1. So that's kind of a tough decision here. So I'm going to go ahead and choose the borax and discard the water bucket. It'll come around again a little later on. So that was my 2nd action. So now what my 3rd action is, I need an orange cube to be able to clean off that murder weapon tile. So I'm going to go ahead and activate, for my 3rd action, I'm going to try to activate this borax. Yes! We rolled a 5. And that 5 will give us an orange cube and no time loss. So things are, I don't want to speak too soon, I don't want to jinx myself, but things are going our way, for sure. So there's our orange cube. And then for our 4th action, we're going to go ahead and place that orange cube on the murder weapon. And hey, with 6 minutes gone, we have successfully cleaned off the victim tile and the murder weapon tile. So we are doing pretty well here so far. So we'll take those cubes away, and murder weapon gets satisfyingly removed from the crime scene. So 2 tiles, 2 of the most important tiles, have now been removed from the crime scene. So what have we got left? We've got hair and fiber, blood stain, broken wine glass, broken plate, bloody prints, blood stain. Okay, so now the rest of this is just how many of these can we remove before the cops show up. So let's go ahead and find that out super quick. So we are back to action 1 of the next turn, and we have this Hoover. Why don't we try to activate it right now? Let's go ahead. Let's roll the dice. Nope, it's a 2. So a 2 doesn't get you any cubes at all, and you lose -1 time, and you discard that. So that didn't work out for us. For our 2nd action, let's go ahead and equip some more equipment. We've got the disinfectant and the phone of family. Red cubes, orange cubes. I think I need more orange cubes right now, although I could use some red cubes for the bloody prints and the blood stain. I'm going to take the disinfectant right now. It's my 2nd action. For my 3rd action, I could try to see if we can try to activate the disinfectant. Dustin Hendrickson is here saying, game is looking great. Thanks, man. Really appreciate it. Nope, rolled a 2. So 2 is -4 time on this disinfectant. So the one kind of element of this game is that if you roll low, you lose more time. So it kind of sucks. So -4 time there, 1, 2, 3, 4. I am down to 49 minutes. And so I kind of didn't get much use out of this disinfectant card for my 3rd action. So for my 4th action, I'm just going to try to equip something else. Cloths. Okay, so we'll just equip one of those. Discard the other, and that is what we were able to do here in that turn. So we actually didn't get to place any cubes there. So you'll see, you know, kind of like that's the ebb and flow of this game. Some turns are the dice rolls your way and everything goes really great, and then other times the dice isn't rolling your way, and you know you get that result. Yeah, so it definitely is, you know, a game of a lot of randomness. I mean, I really didn't know much about like randomness and randomness mitigation when I designed this game, co-designed this game 2 years ago. But one thing I will say is that there is a randomness mitigation system on the player boards. You'll notice there's this white cube over here. It's called bonus. And it says, if at any point you want to re-roll your die or flip the die to its opposite result, you can spend this bonus cube. So I started the game with this bonus cube. If you want to activate this bonus cube, you have to discard 1 card in 2 time. Let me go ahead and read exactly how that bonus works. Note, if you want to pay 2 time and return the top equipment card to the box, remove it from the game to acquire a bonus cube if you want. You can acquire a bonus cube to place on the pocket watch space of your player board. Spend a bonus cube on your player board at any time to either re-roll the effort d6, you must accept the result, good or bad, or flip the die so that a 1 becomes a 6, a 2 becomes a 5, etc. This does not count as an action. So if you're in really desperate straits, which we're not yet, you can destroy a piece of equipment for good and sacrifice 2 time to be able to use that bonus cube. We're not there yet, but we might get there. All right, so now let's just keep on playing here. So I'm going to equip some more equipment for my first action here. I've got those rubber gloves again. It's not yet time to use them, so I'm going to discard those rubber gloves and put the water bucket here for my first action. And for my second action, I'm going to try to activate the water bucket. Okay, now the dice are not rolling my way. So 1 on water bucket is -3. 1, 2, 3. But we do earn a cube, according to this card. We do get -3 time, but we do earn a cube. So that's kind of cool. So we still get an orange cube. So that was my second action. Discard that. For my third action, let's go ahead and place that cube somewhere. I'm going to place it on the bloody prints over here because the cards, the tiles that have red and orange cubes, there's a higher probability of the police finding those at the end of the game or when the police arrive. So I'm now targeting those tiles that have higher value cubes. So that was my third action. And for my fourth action, I'm just going to go ahead and place some more equipment. All right. We've got disinfectant and water bucket. We need red cubes for the bloody prints and the bloodstains, so we'll do that as well. Okay, so that was my fourth action. I don't have any cubes on my player board, so nothing to cost me some time. As I did earlier, I forgot to check that my player board was clear of all cubes, and so that cost me a little bit of time. So let's just go to action number 1 and let's try to activate this disinfectant and let's hope for a better die roll. Okay, there we go. We got a 6. What does that 6 give us? It gives us 2 red cubes and +1 time. So that's kind of cool. We get 2 red cubes and we earn back 1 time. So that means that we use that disinfectant so effectively that we actually gained time. We were very, very efficient in the use of that disinfectant. So that's our first action. For our second action, we're going to go ahead and place those cubes. Now, here's what sucks. You cannot split. You may not distribute effort cubes among multiple evidence tiles in a single action. So that sucks. Because I would love to take one of these cubes and place it on the bloody prints for one action, and in the same action, take this red cube and place it on the bloodstain, but I can't do that in one action. Okay, so that's gonna suck. So for my third action, I'm gonna place this red cube here on the bloody prints, and then for my fourth action, I'm gonna place this red cube on the bloodstain. And that's how the game goes, right? It really kind of chops up what you can do into these kind of micro slices of time and what you can do within that time. All right, so we're back to action number 1. So we're going to go ahead and choose some more equipment for action number 1. We've got cloths and we've got a cup of martin. It'll give us red cubes, but you'll notice we no longer have any red cubes. All of the red cubes on the board are now covered. So we're doing well. So we don't need this for right now. Although it does have a special action. You may combine the cup of martin and cup of JV to draw 6 cards and keep 2. Kind of cool. Not really going to help me right now. So I'm going to take the cloths instead for my first action. For my second action, I'm going to try to activate these cloths in my left hand, hoping for a high roll. Roll to 3, -1 time, and discard those cloths. For my third action, I'm going to try to activate these cloths in my right hand. Ugh, rolled another 3, that's -2 time on these cloths. Discard that. And for my fourth action, I'm just going to equip some equipment. Cloths or borax. I'm going to equip borax in my left hand and discard these cloths. All right, let's pick up the pace here. So we need orange tiles. So for my first action, I'm going to try to activate the borax, hoping for a high roll. Nope, didn't get one. A 1 or a 2 is -1 time. So this is where the attrition comes in. It's starting to get a little hairy. We need some equipment for our second action. Phone a family and water bucket. Orange cubes, orange cubes. I think I'll do the phone a family for my second action. For my third action, I'll try to activate the phone a family. Ooh. Okay, we rolled a 5. So a 5 means we get 1 orange cube. Discard that. And for my fourth action, I'm going to go ahead and place that orange cube here on the bloodstain. Okay. Let's pick up the pace now. First action of this turn. Cloths or cup of JV. This card has been working out for us so far. So we're going to go ahead and equip that cup of JV. For our second action, we're going to try to activate cup of JV. Place all unused cubes into a cup, draw 2, and place them on your player mat. Oh, I've been using this card wrong. I've been playing slightly wrong. It says place on your player mat. I have been placing them directly on tiles, thus cheating slightly, because you're supposed to use an action to take them from your player mat and put them on a tile. Okay, so see, I'm playing it a little wrong, and I blame you guys too because you didn't catch me. So that's on you. Okay, so I'm not looking. I am not looking. I'm drawing 2. 1, 2. What did we get? We got 2 yellows. They're useful. And that was only the first action. So for the second action, we'll take these 2 yellows and we'll put them on the bloody prints. And that's good because now we've cleaned the bloody prints right off of the crime scene. So now we're down to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tiles or pieces of evidence on the crime scene. So that's great. For my third action, I'm going to put some equipment in my hand. Scrub brush or cloths. I'll take the cloths. And for my fourth action, I will also take an equipment. Hoover or rubber gloves. Oh, this sucks. I don't need red cubes, but I could use the red cubes and then I could make them, I could boil them down into cubes that I would actually need. So I think I'll take the Hoover. And that is all 4 actions, and we're going to go ahead and discard, shuffle the discard pile. All right. First action, here we go. Let's try to activate the cloths. We got a 6, which means we earn 2 yellow cubes. That's great. So for our second action, let's put those 2 yellow cubes on the... Oh, we can put in a hair and fiber right here, which means we now clean off the hair and fiber, which is great. We are down to 4 evidence tiles. Okay, that was our second action. Gotta get the cloths out of there. For our third action, let's try to activate the Hoover. 6, which means we get 2 red cubes. And now for our fourth action, let's try to split apart the higher effort cubes, the red effort cubes, into a lower effort cube, the orange. And I'm going to need to refresh myself. Combine or split effort. Move effort cubes to the combined effort space on the player board. Combine 2 cubes of lower effort to immediately produce 1 cube of greater, or split 1 cube of greater effort to produce 2 cubes of lower effort. So, orange, medium effort, lower remaining time by 1 minute for each effort cube combined or split. Okay, so what I'm going to do for my fourth action is I'm going to take one of these effort cubes, and then in the combined effort area, that's going to split into 2 orange cubes, like so. But the effort of splitting them lowers my time. So that is lower remaining time by 1 minute for each effort cube combined or split. Okay, I split 1. So that was red times 3. So that's 3 minutes. 1, 2, 3. I'm down to 40 minutes of time. And that was my last action, which means if I've got cubes left on the player board at the end of that, I lose time for each of those as well. If any effort cubes will be stored on the player board for a later turn, you must lower remaining time by 1 for each effort cube multiplied by the cube's effort level. Okay, so I'm going to have to lower time by 2 for each orange cube, so that's 4 minutes, and then 3 for my red effort cube, so that's a total of 7 minutes that I have to lower my time by. So this was a very costly turn for me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm now down to 33 minutes left before the cops show up. Okay. And now we are at turn number 1, or action number 1 of the following turn. So I'm going to get these cubes out of here as soon as possible. So for my first action, I'll take these orange cubes, place them on the blood stain, and now I remove the blood stain from the crime scene, which is great. So now I'm down to 3 tiles. For my second action, I'm going to split this red cube into 2 orange cubes. And that 1 red cube will cost me 3 minutes of time. 1, 2, 3. Okay. For my third action, I'm going to place these effort cubes, and remember, you can't split them across multiple tiles in a single action. So the only tile that requires 2 orange cubes is the broken wine glass, like that. And for my fourth action, I'm going to get some more equipment. So that was a long stretch where it was just kind of doing a little bit of splitting of effort. Oh, I don't need these rubber gloves. So I'm going to discard that for now and use the phone a family. And the time is down to 30 minutes. 30 minutes before the police arrive, folks. It's starting to get a little tense here. But we have been doing really well in terms of cleaning our evidence. So there's that to console ourselves with. Okay, so let's go ahead and go back to action number one. Action number one. Let's put some more equipment on here. Cloths and water bucket. We do need some orange and some yellow as well. Now it says here, you may combine the family and bucket of water to create one cube of any color. So we could use these, without rolling a die, we could use these two cards, and that was my first action, second action, to just generate one cube instead of rolling a die. But we're only going to get one cube, whereas if we roll the die, we run the risk of losing time, or we have the potential to earn even more cubes than that one. So that's kind of like another decision that you have to make here. I'm gonna risk it. I'm actually going to on this water bucket in my right hand for my second action. I'm gonna try. For my second action, I'm gonna try to activate the water bucket, and it didn't work out. I rolled a 2, which means I lose 2 time, so that sucks. For my third action, I'm going to try to activate phone a family. Okay, that was a 1, which is another -1 time, so that sucks. So for my fourth action, I got no cubes, I got no equipment. Let's go ahead and put some more equipment in hand. We could do cloths or water bucket. Both of these are useful to me right now. So I think I'll do water bucket. Okay. So for my first action, let's go ahead and get some more equipment in hand. Okay. We got cloths and we got scrub brush. Let's do scrub brush for our first action. Second action, again, we've got a choice here. We could combine the scrub brush and a bucket of water to create one cube of any color, or we could just roll the dice, literally. So I think we're going to try to activate the water bucket for our third action. Nope, that's not going to be good enough, so that's a 3. That is -3 time. 1, 2, 3. Folks, we're down to 24 minutes. Ouch. And then we've got a scrub brush, so, well, that's going to lose more time as well. So I'm just going to equip something else for my fourth action. Disinfectant, cloths. We're going to do... we're going to do cloths. Okay. Back to our first action. Here we go. Let's try to activate some cloths. Nope. 2. That's -2 time. Things are getting a little hairy. For our second action, let's try to activate the scrub brush. Well, that was a 1. That's even worse. That's -1 time. 21 minutes left before the police arrive. Beads of sweat starting to form. For my third action, put some equipment in hand. Cup of Martin or borax. I'm going to choose borax. And for my fourth action, I'm just going to put some more equipment in hand. All right. Choosing Cup of JV. Cup of JV is a great card, promo card. So we are going to equip the Cup of JV card here. For our first action, we're going to use the Cup of JV card. Place all unused cubes into a cup, draw 2, and place them on your player mat. This card has been working out for us. Aha. We have generated a yellow and an orange for our first action. Second action. So for our third action, we got to take these two cubes and place them all on one card. So we'll place them on this blood stain. Cool. For our fourth action, we'll try to activate the borax. Okay, we rolled a 6. Woo! Which means 2 orange cubes. However, that was probably a strategic error in my haste to want to get those cubes, because now I'm on my fourth action and those orange cubes are going to be on my player board, and I'm going to lose 2 minutes of time for each one of those orange cubes. So a total of 4 minutes. 1, 2, 3, 4. We now have 17 minutes before the police show up. So that sucks. So now we're back to the first action of the next turn. So we definitely want to take these 2 orange cubes. And now we have completed the 4 orange cubes required to be able to remove the broken wine glass from the crime scene. So now we're down to 2 evidence tiles. So you get down to the wire, and you know, one of the things about this game is that you get kind of tantalizingly close to getting all of the evidence out. And the Cup of JV card has been a game changer for me here, because when I was doing playtesting, that is a card that came late in kind of like the development cycle. I didn't playtest it with that card. And so the game balance was kind of tuned for, you know, the non-promo cards. So I'm seeing that there's a chance that I could potentially, I need 1, 2, 3, 4 more cubes, 3 yellow and 1 orange, and then I clean all the evidence from, which I've never actually done in all of my personal playtesting. I've never actually achieved that before the police arrive. Which is amazing. But that might not happen. I might have a string of bad rolls now, and there's going to be a chance that the police find some evidence here. So, and the time is ticking down. The time is now at 17 minutes. So let's see how everything plays out. We have no equipment. We have no cubes. So for our first action, let's go ahead and put some equipment in hand. Water bucket or scrub brush, these are both very useful. I need 1 orange, so I'm going to place this guy here. But I also need yellow. So actually, you know what? I'm going to change my mind. I'm going to place the yellow in hand over here. And that was my first action. Let's try to activate the scrub brush. 6! 2 yellows. Look at that. For my third action, let's go ahead and place 1 yellow over here. And now, we've got to get rid of that card. We've removed the bloodstains. Bye, Johnny. So now we're down to 1 broken plate as the sole remaining piece of evidence on the crime scene. So for our fourth action, let's go ahead and place 1 yellow on that broken plate. With 17 minutes left, we're actually in pretty good shape. So let us now get some get some equipment in hand here. Disinfectant or cloths. We don't need disinfectant. Second action, let's try to activate the cloths. 3, not good. 3 means -2 time. Down to 15 minutes. That was my second action. For my third action, let's get some more equipment in here. I need orange. I also need yellow. So I think I'll equip the phone a family. And then for my fourth action, let's also equip another equipment. I need yellow. Okay. That was my fourth action. If everything works out with these cards, I could potentially clean off that broken plate from the crime scene. Fingers crossed. That would be the first time ever that I've actually managed to clean all the evidence from the crime scene before the police show up. So first action, we're going to go ahead and try to activate the phone of family, hoping for a high roll here. We get a 5. 5 is 1 orange cube, which is exactly what we need. Second action, we'll place that 1 orange cube. Third action, we're going to try to activate the cloths, hoping for a high roll. Nope, we didn't get it. So 2 is -1 time. We're now at 14 minutes left before the cops show up. And fourth action, let us try to get some more equipment. Not the rubber gloves, we do need cloths. So that's our fourth action. Okay. So coming down to the wire here, we could try, just go for it and try to activate those cloths for our first action, or we could hedge our bets and get another piece of equipment in here. So I think I'm going to play it safe and get another piece of equipment for my first action. Cloths is what we need. We need 1 yellow cube is what we need to be able to clean off that last piece of evidence. So that was our first action. Second action, let's try to activate these cloths, hoping for a high roll. Didn't get it. We got 1, which is -3. 1, 2, 3. 11 minutes left. Ouch. Let's try to activate these cloths. 2. That's -2. 1, 2. All right. So now we are getting down to the wire here. Now that we have 9 minutes left before the police show up. Oh, you don't even see it on the camera here. Now that we have 9 minutes left before the police show up, now we're faced with a decision. Do we keep trying to use our equipment, or do we hightail it out of here, even though we haven't cleaned everything yet? And what's the effect of that? If at any point during the action phase your time tracker cube lands on the last space of the time tracker, the police will arrive, arrest you at the crime scene, and you lose the game. So before time runs out, you must declare before starting the next turn that you are leaving the crime scene. Discard all remaining equipment cards and unplaced effort cubes and proceed to part 2, police investigation. So, this is a critical point. Oh, that was my second action. Do I try to, well, it's not yet the next turn. So let's finish out this turn. Okay. For my third action of this turn, I'm going to go ahead and choose some more equipment. I don't need those rubber gloves. And then for my fourth action, I'm going to put some equipment in hand. Cup of Martin, water bucket. Don't need either. Orange is more useful, so I'm going to put that there. Okay. So now we have to decide before the start of this turn, do we want to, with 9 minutes left, leave the crime scene? If we roll horrendously in this turn, we could potentially lose up to 7 minutes, which would take us down to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 2 minutes left before the police arrive. Or do we just say, you know what? We're going to leave now and not run the risk of the police showing up. So I think we're going to roll the dice. Because your choices are, if you're at the crime scene when the police arrive, that's instant loss. but we have just one or yellow cube remaining to cover, and then potentially we have no evidence whatsoever. Then the police will not find anything at all, which I've never done, by the way, personally. So I think it's worth the risk. So I'm going to go ahead for my first action and try to activate these cloths and hope for a high number. 4, which is just enough. Great. And for my second action, I will take that yellow cube and I will place it on the broken plate, which means, wow, for the first time ever, I have actually successfully cleaned every single piece of evidence from the crime scene on normal difficulty, which is bananas. Okay, so what does that mean? And we have 9 minutes left. The more evidence tiles you leave behind at the crime scene, the more chances you give the police to find those pieces of evidence. Resolve the police investigation as follows. Okay. Before time runs out, you must declare before starting the next turn that you're leaving the crime scene. Discard all remaining equipment cards and unplaced effort cubes and proceed to part 2, police investigation. Make a note of the time remaining as you declare that you are leaving the crime scene. This will count toward your final score. If you leave the crime scene without disposing of the victim and or the murder weapon, you lose the game. Okay, so I've got 9 minutes left. Now let's resolve the police investigation. The more evidence tiles you leave behind at the crime scene, the more chances you give the police to find those pieces of evidence. Resolve the police investigation as follows. For each evidence tile left behind at the scene, you will simultaneously roll a number of d6s matching the number of unclean spaces on that tile. Resolve each evidence tile one by one in any order you choose until all the tiles have been resolved. For each evidence tile, so we got no evidence tiles. If the police fail to find evidence, remove that tile from the crime scene, remove any cubes in the supply. Once you have resolved all evidence tiles and marked with dice, proceed to scoring. Okay. After the police finish investigating the crime scene, it's time to tally your score. Take your remaining time in minutes when you declared you were leaving the crime scene. Add 20 if you were on insane difficulty, which we weren't. Add 10 if you played on hard, which we didn't. Subtract 10 if you played on easy. We played on normal. Subtract from your score the corresponding values in the table below for each piece of evidence. Okay, so we got a score of 9. That was the amount of time left remaining before we left the crime scene, which means on this table, a score of 1 to 9 ranges, you are a sanitation worker. Other cleaners would wipe the floor with you. So even though we managed to clean all the pieces of evidence, it took 51 minutes. So even though we completely cleaned the crime scene, our final ranking is only sanitation worker. So that's kind of how that goes. So that was my playthrough of the game that I co-designed called The Cleaner with Janine Viglietti. And thank you so much for the people who decided to stay with me the whole time, the people who dropped by, and I hope that you enjoyed that playthrough. Until next time, this has been Martin. Bye for now.